The New South Wales population is growing really strongly, one of the fastest rates of population growth anywhere in the OECD. To support this growth and to strategically plan for growth in the right places, we've got the Greater Sydney Commission working on planning in the Sydney region to provide new opportunities for homes and for jobs and strong transport connections between them.
Well, I think the barriers we need to overcome are a siloed approach to governance and to government, and that's very much the core business of the Greater Sydney Commission, to bring lots and lots of agencies and departments of government together, local governments, stakeholders, all the wise people in the world who know about Sydney, to figure out how to make Sydney even greater, more livable, more productive, more sustainable.
Real estate markets around the world are driven by demand. So the impact of the US election on those markets will depend on the policies adopted and what that does for macro and micro economic growth and the industries. So we'll have to see how it plays out, what happens to global trade. So whether Australia will be impacted or whether the global market will be impacted will depend on the policies that are adopted going forward.
Cities are competitive animals and organisms around the world, and in order for Sydney to remain relevant and to remain a destination point as a global city, we need to keep changing. And change means we need to embrace technology, we need to embrace livability and amenity for our people, and we need the government and business leaders to encourage new businesses to set up in a simple, streamlined and dynamic way.
It's a really exciting couple of years coming up for Western Sydney. The Parramatta is going through a $10 billion infrastructure boom, and it will be revitalised in a way that Sydney-siders can't understand. But with the airport coming, we will see a greater emphasis on growing jobs in Western Sydney so that people can work where they live. And that will transform Western Sydney from being a dormitory suburb into being a vibrant new hub for the rest of Sydney.
As a mum raising a family in this city, I want key workers to live nearby. And so I really believe that inclusionary zoning is a great tool to do that, and that it actually should be at a higher percentage and should be at higher levels. But at the same time, I don't think the entire burden of this should fall to the developers, because this isn't an issue just for the developers, but it's actually an issue for all of us. And so we need to somehow balance the need to kind of incentivise developers as well as require them to make sure that we do have a diversity of tenure and a range of people living within developments.
One of the things that the state planning system could do better in New South Wales, as opposed to our counterparts in Victoria and in Brisbane, is to release stock to market quicker. And one of the hinges in that system at the moment is the release of land and the planning process and how long it takes planning approvals to go through the system. So there's definitely some more work to be done in that area, but with the renewed focus on affordability at both the state and federal level, I'm confident that the government will make inroads in that area.
Southeast Asian investors are one of the major investors in Australia. And the reason being is because the Australian economy is transparent. It's still relatively good yields in Australia and strong people-to-people ties. And the assets that the Southeast Asian investors are investing in include industrial buildings, office blocks, residential units, and even logistic assets.